Hey there, welcome to another episode of the HomeTech Podcast. Jason Griffin here. Happy, as always, to have you with us. I am joined by my partner, Seth Johnson. Seth, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Are you getting adjusted? Getting any sleep?
Here and there. Yeah. I guess I'm doing better than my wife is, but that's just because
that's pretty typical.
I can sleep.
Yeah.
I have no problem laying down and like sleeping through whatever.
And it's the motherly instinct too. My wife is the same way. She's thankfully more tuned in than I am to the babies crying and stuff, so I can totally relate. But that's great. You got to kind of divide and conquer, right? Everybody's got their part to do, and I know you and I have been exchanging some messages this week. It sounds like you guys are doing great, and really, really happy for you.
Yeah, thanks. It's been fun. It's been an adjustment, and sometimes it can be a little bit of a crazy town. But definitely worth it. You just kind of look over and see her sleeping there, and it's like, oh, she's so cute.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
It's definitely been fun.
Love it. Cool. Well, let's jump in. We've got another episode here where you and I are just going to catch up and chat about a few things. No guest lined up for this week. We do have a guest lined up for next week, is Ram Malasani from Securify, which, if you're not familiar, is the maker of the Almond family of routers, most recently the Almond 3. And we just want to give a quick tease to that because this week we were actually trying to make schedules line up and get him on this week to chat, but with CES and his travels and our families and things like that, we weren't able to make that work. But they've got a new feature coming out that I think is really cool, and I just want to tease it this week. It by the time you're listening to this episode should be publicly announced, and it's a new security feature related to these botnet attacks that we've seen recently, and this is a huge story. Everybody's been following it. Seth, I know it's one that's near and dear to your heart that you've kind of latched on to, and I thought this story was really cool, and so I look forward to having Ram on to talk about it. But in short, in summary, it's a feature that's built in to the Almond 3, and it's really purpose-built from the ground up to help people avoid complications and security issues related to these new breed of botnet attacks and cybersecurity issues out there surrounding not only traditional network-connected devices, but of course devices in the smart home as well. And I think it looks like a really smart feature. And I think once again, Securify is right on point. They've got some very cool features built into their products, and I think this one is no exception.
Yeah, if there was a way to figure out how to stop these botnets, this would be a pretty good way to do it. A lot of these devices that were out there are installed directly onto the internet. So a router is typically not even going to be involved. But this is a really smart idea. And I'm hoping Securify rather, is just the first of many companies to implement this kind of feature to help clean up and protect the internet a little bit more. So I'm really excited about it. I know we're going to talk a lot more about it next week. So looking forward to that conversation, but this is a great feature. This is really, really smart, and something all router manufacturers should be doing, but of course only the best like Securify will be doing. So man, what a great feature. What a really just hands down great feature.
Yeah, I think it's pretty smart. I look forward to like you said, diving into it more with Ram next week. So be sure to tune in. We're going to do an abbreviated interview with him. We're not necessarily going to do a full 30 minutes on it. We just had them on recently. If you're interested to learn more about their company, you can go back and check that out. But in short, the bullet points on this, again, for the Almond 3, going to be available with a 30-day free trial. It will be a subscription service after that. It looks like $3.99 a month for the initial period, and then up to $9.99 a month as they unveil additional security features. It uses a learning algorithm to identify susceptible devices on your network, sends you notifications if they notice abnormal traffic activity. It includes a parental controls feature set as well. So pretty interesting offering, and I look forward to diving into that more. But this episode here, we're going to talk about CES a little bit. We're going to cover a few of the stories that we've seen. We are recording this episode early in the week, so of course we haven't seen even close to everything that's going to come out for CES this year and next week. Following that Ram Malasani interview, we're going to jump in to more of the CES stories and give some thoughts on the wrap-up of the show and what we thought were some of the biggest stories to emerge from it. But this week, we thought we'd dive into a few of the stories that we've seen come across the feeds already, and in particular, some of these that I think represent CES pretty well. It is an interesting show. It's huge, as everybody knows, and we've talked about before, and there are a ton of very relevant, very impactful stories that come out of CES, and we'll look forward to talking about those next week. But there are also a lot of things that I think are a little bit silly, and it's fun to kind of look at those from a lighter perspective and see what some of these crazy gadget makers are out there doing this year. So we're going to dive into a few of those stories this week.
Yep, and of course we are reporting remotely. I was actually supposed to go to CES this year.
What happened with that?
Plans changed.
Plans have a tendency to do that. Yep, when you get kids in the equation. So yeah, I totally understand. I actually have to admit, I've never been to CES. I've always watched it from afar, and I think nowadays it's pretty easy to do that and stay pretty well tuned in to what's going on. But I think it's one of those shows that I really need to make it a point just to get out there and experience sooner than later.
Yeah, absolutely. We were supposed to meet up, do a bunch of meetings this week, and well, it just kind of happens that I wasn't going to be able to make it. So I can't imagine even having the conversation with my wife. Hey, honey, I know you had this child 2 weeks ago. I need to go to Vegas for a couple of days.
Yeah, I suspect that probably wouldn't have gone over too well.
No, not at all.
Hey, Seth, before I forget, I actually want to make sure we touch on this before we jump in to CES. Saw a story on CE Pro this week about a Control 4 integration with the Ring video doorbell. And I believe somebody that we know pretty well might have had a little something to do with this.
Yeah. So my day job is finally showing what I do.
That's great.
Yeah. So this is a new driver for Control 4 systems. It integrates with the Ring video doorbell. All the models, really. I think there's only 2 of them right now, but there'll be a third one later. And basically gets the events off of it, not the video, but the events, and puts them into the home automation system, which is pretty cool. You don't have to worry about fiddling around with those flaky doorbell detection devices that are out there that never seem to work, and you don't have to worry about running contact closures into a control system. Like it's all done over the IP, and I mean, as soon as you get the notification on your phone, the notification is in the Control 4 system, so it's super fast, which I was kind of surprised about, but very, very excited to launch it. It's been a crazy week, and today especially, we sent out our newsletter, and then I opened my email and saw that CE Pro had done the story and sent out their newsletter. So our website was kind of swamped. I was juggling
a little bit of traffic.
Yeah. I was watching the server. I'm going, oh my God, what's going to happen? But yeah, it's been a fun week.
Good problem to have.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a lot of great feedback off of it. Of course, everybody wants to have video and be able to integrate the video into systems. But I mean, the Ring doorbell just, from a hardware perspective, just isn't that device. It's not something that it doesn't have a video stream coming off of it all the time, like some of these video door systems do.
Right.
So
right.
It's more like it's one of those video phones, like it's making a call, and I just don't foresee that happening. But the events super, super helpful, and super. I mean, like I can go as soon as somebody walks up to my door, I can turn the lights on outside. I mean, it's awesome. So I think it's a pretty cool integration, and I'm hoping more people do too.
Here's a key question though. Can I use it to trigger my security automated flying drones?
Yes, you could. I should.
Anything is possible, right?
It turns out anything is possible, and anything is possible to bring to CES and make a product out of it, I guess.
That's right. So let's jump into CES. That was my segue there. We've got this first story here. And this is actually interesting because we talked about, a handful of weeks ago, we talked about a story that we found somewhere on the internet. I'd have to go back and dig to find where it was, but we talked about this concept, and we weren't quite sure if it was serious or what this company that at the time was doing, but it looks like Alarm.com is now, according to this story from CNET, is also looking into this, and it's this feature where you would have flying drones tied into your security system that could be triggered to launch following presumably a security event, a motion sensor or something like that, out on the perimeter of your property being triggered. And you'd have these drones fly up automatically with cameras attached to them and check out what's going on. And, it sounds really silly and futuristic. I don't know if this sort of thing will ever take off, but I could see it being pretty useful, honestly, particularly if you had like a big piece of property. And I could see, my experience out in Los Angeles, working in that market for a number of years. There were large properties and high net worth individuals out there where I could totally see them wanting this sort of thing. And, there were security teams involved and stuff like that on some of these projects even. So at the very high end of the market, I could see it. But, man, I've got my questions about the mainstream viability of this. It's kind of an interesting read nonetheless.
Yeah, it's such a strange idea to me. Like these drones, can you imagine like this triggering off in the middle of the night and having this, angry bumblebee thing sound just flying around the neighborhood looking for somebody? I don't know. It seems a little out there for me, but maybe it's something that some people do. And like you said, maybe in the super high end market, and definitely in a place where you have a large property and, maybe like if you had acreage and you detected something that is a mile away, you could just shoot the drone out and it could take pictures and then come back or something. I mean, I don't know.
Release the drones.
Yeah, release the drones and have them do their thing. And
be quite a deterrent though, right? I mean, I could see like the thief who's trying to get onto the property, all of a sudden, like you said, this angry bumblebee drone is flying 10 feet overhead. And I think that would certainly scare some people off. I don't have any doubt about that.
Either that or they'll figure out a way to steal the drone.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Never underestimate a thief.
Anyways, moving on to much more serious and practical stories. It looks like even garbage cans are going to have intelligence built into them coming out of CES. There's a new product called the Genie Can. Excuse me. There's a new product called the Genie Can, which I don't know. There are interesting aspects to this, Seth. It actually clips onto the trash can like in your kitchen, so it's not out in the garage or on the driveway or whatever. And the idea, I guess, is that you tie it into Amazon Dash replenishment services. And so when you finish your box of cereal, before you throw it away, it's got a barcode scanner on it. And you scan the barcode, and it adds it to a shopping list in the Genie Control app, and also could potentially be tied in, like I said, with DRS to potentially have some more Frosted Flakes show up at your door automatically. So who knows? Maybe this thing will catch on.
It's an interesting idea. I don't know. I'm looking at the little product now. It's very small. It clips onto the side of the garbage can. I don't know. I don't think I would ever use anything like this, but it's an interesting idea. I'm wondering, like, if it might not be easier to put this device somewhere else besides in the garbage. I don't know.
That's just a thought.
Yeah, just a thought. Maybe I would worry about this thing like falling in accidentally, but
yeah, or just getting like filthy. And
yeah.
I get it. I see the picture and I'm like, that is not an area where I would want to put a high-tech gadget. $150 it looks like is what this thing is going to retail for. $125 right now for pre-order. So I have my doubts, but it's funny. Just people will come up with anything, I guess.
CES.
Company surpassed its funding goal. It looks like this was an Indiegogo product. It doesn't say what their funding goal was, but it says they raised $7,800, which is not a lot for Indiegogo. Typically, I think the really successful products that we usually see raise a lot more than that. But it looks like they did get some interest on Indiegogo back in 2015, and they're moving forward, getting a little bit of press out of CES, so maybe that'll help them out.
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting idea, and I'll give them that. I don't know how, as all of these things are, I just don't know how practical it actually is.
Well, speaking of the kitchen, it looks like Samsung is doubling down on the Family Hub smart refrigerators. I don't know, Seth. This is one you put up here. I haven't had a chance to dive into the story. I know we had some fun with these smart hub refrigerators when they first came out.
You can't even see it without laughing.
I I wonder how these things are doing. It's a $6,000 refrigerator with a giant touchscreen on it. I don't know. I haven't seen any of these out in the wild. Have you?
I've seen them. I've seen it like Home Depot. Yeah, I've seen it there, but I haven't.
Well, out in the wild, as in like
no,
in somebody actually bought one, or a client or anything.
No, not at all. I don't know. A $6,000 refrigerator seems kind of crazy, but this year they're coming out with the second gen, which is they're doing 10 different models based on the one from last year. So there was only four. There was only 4 of the models last year, and they bumped it up to 10. So six more SKUs, I guess. Maybe that's different colors and different size screens. That'll be shipping. It's an interesting idea. I just wonder if this is really that much more practical than having just a standard refrigerator without the TV screen on it. But
yeah. I saw one of these at Home Depot as well, the Home Depot here by my house. And so I stopped and played with it a little bit. And the touch screen is nice. I mean, it's a Samsung product, and I think generally they build pretty nice products. I had no complaints about the build quality or anything like that. But I just remember standing in front of this refrigerator and using the touch screen, and there was this one app they had built in where it went to a camera that was inside of the refrigerator, and you could drag like labels to show when things were purchased or whatever. And it was kind of slow and clunky. And I remember thinking, like, this would just not ever work. I would never use this in my house. First of all, things in my refrigerator, I don't know about you, but they never stay in the same place. I mean, there's a few things that are typically in the same area, but beyond that, like the milk and maybe 1 or 2 other things, everything else is kind of moving around based on what's in there. And so to me, it felt like,
I don't think you'd be able to see past the first row of stuff in my refrigerator.
Right.
What's in the back?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, and exactly. And beyond the specifics of that app, I think it felt a little bit contrived to me. And I think that was my general feeling about the whole concept to begin with. But who knows?
Well, they're doubling down on it, so we'll see what they're going to put into it this year. They're talking about putting Samsung's voice technology into it, which I guess you can yell at your refrigerator and have it do things, and talking about integration with third-party apps like Grubhub, Ring doorbell, which would be kind of cool, I guess, if you're in your kitchen and somebody rings the doorbell. If it pops up with the video,
that.
yeah, that'd be pretty cool, because it's just like an Android tablet or something in there,
and it's a big enough screen that you wouldn't necessarily have to be standing right in front of your fridge. We spend a ton of time in the kitchen, and so if somebody rang the doorbell, you could be standing across the kitchen, and that screen is big enough that you'd still be able to make it out. So that I think could be kind of compelling.
Yep. And a couple of cooking devices, Spotify and iHeartRadio apps said to be in the works. So I guess some of that stuff's kind of valuable to have in the kitchen. I don't know if your fridge is going to replace the $150 or $50 Amazon Echo device that you may have sitting in your kitchen, but they're giving a good go at it, I think.
Right.
So Samsung obviously thinks that there's something there, and they're going after it.
They do. Well, one thing, Seth, that I know we've watched for a couple of years at CES, and it's been sort of a mixed bag, has been wearable technology. And this one I thought was was interesting, particularly in light of your wife's recent delivery. And of course, we've got our young baby here, and this is a Bloom Life pregnancy wearable. And so this is actually looks like a little stick-on device, or maybe it straps around. No, it looks like it's got a little adhesive on it, and I don't know. You wear this thing in the 3rd trimester, I guess, is the point, and it monitors like contractions. And I would classify this one under the area particularly relevant in wearables, where just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah. So interesting thing is this device is $150 per month. So you figure out when you want to use this Bloom Life monitor, pay $150 and you can actually return it to them after you're done. So it's not completely useless, like most of these parent, I don't know what to call them, parent traps, I guess.
Yeah,
that you see that exist out there. So that's a little better, I think. I just don't know how useful it actually is, because, I mean, my wife didn't even have any contractions. Like, we just went into labor, or we went in, and that's where we started. So
yeah. I think where I come down on stuff like this, and the reason why I say that maybe this isn't such a great idea, is I just know from experience that expectant mothers can be very nervous about things generally, and I think that sometimes having a device like this may sound good to a product development team or something like that, but I think in real life it may be better to just kind of like work with your doctor and listen to your body, and not have an app telling you what you should be doing. I don't know. That's coming from me, who just recently in the last couple of years has gone through this a couple of times. And I think that sometimes wearable technology, to look at it from a higher level, to me still feels like a solution looking for a problem. And I think that this to me feels like an example of that. Although, I will give it to them. They've got a noble cause, at least ostensibly, where they're saying that, this sort of information can help prevent preterm birth, and they want to crowdsource the data to help people have a better understanding of what to expect when they're pregnant. So I do think there are angles to this story that are interesting for me on a personal level. It's not something that I could see my family ever buying into.
You know where this would be? I think this would be better, is actually in the hospital. Like, when you go in and you're basically hooked up to these machines with these like awkward straps the entire time, with these little noisemaker and I don't know what all it was checking, but this device, like, stick this on. One of the things my wife just absolutely was having a problem with, and besides the whole hard labor part, was the nurse having to come and adjust these straps and whatnot.
Right.
So I think like this device would be it would have been great to just have, stick that on her, and she could move around, and if it fell off, it just, get it stuck back on or something. But rather than have to deal with those giant Velcro straps that kept just falling off or moving, I think that this had worked so much better and caused a lot less frustration inside the delivery room there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, switching gears here to a different area, we've got Dish actually unveiling a 4K Android TV streaming box, and I think this is interesting. We've seen a lot of stories from Dish lately. They seem like they're, I don't want to say playing catch up in a derogatory way, but playing catch up in terms of they have been seemingly pouring a lot of money into development, coming out with new features, and I think that they're increasingly becoming a contender. And so this looks like a little dedicated streaming set-top box to do Netflix, Sling TV, as well as local, I don't know, maybe OTA, over-the-air channels is how they're doing that.
Yeah,
it just says local channels. And so looks like another potentially interesting option in that set-top box market, and to see that coming from a company like Dish, where this, I look at this product and I think about cord cutters is the first thing that jumps to mind. And so I think that is an interesting angle to it, and we'll be curious to see how this thing shakes out.
Yeah, an option by Dish for cord cutters.
Exactly.
Kind of. It's like, well, you're not really cutting the cord if you're using Dish, but okay. No, it seems like a decent little idea here, and get 4K video. What I do think is very interesting is that this is a streaming box, and Dish, of course, is a satellite dish company. So you're not able to use their satellite services for this, because they don't offer you internet service. You'll have to get internet somewhere else. So I think that's a pretty interesting thing for them to be doing, and moving away from offering a expensive satellite network to maintain and keep up with. I've seen this done before, where I was working for a company called Muzak, which ran a massive satellite network for all of their elevator music players that they had around, and pretty much any store, any drive-through you went into had music playing in it, and that came from over satellite. But it never made much sense to me because these satellite dishes would be hit by somebody working on the roof, and you'd have to go out and adjust it 2 inches, and the music would come back.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very expensive thing to do. When in the day of the internet and MP3s, when you could just plug a small, tiny computer in and have it stream music. And I think they're going to find that this is a much less costly operation to kind of keep up with and pay for satellites and that kind of thing. Very, very interesting way for them to be moving.
Yep. And there's the infrastructure portion of it, like you just alluded to. And there's also, I think, these companies just maybe seeing the writing on the wall a little bit and trying to get themselves positioned for the next generation of TV watchers, because I do think I don't think it's going out on a limb to say that we're going to move gradually and continually away from that idea of paying. God, I don't even want to say it on air. I looked just this week, I was paying my bills and saw what my DirecTV bill has gone to now that the promotional period is over, and it's amazing what we're paying for that.
Yeah.
It is embarrassing. It's like, oh my God, how did this happen? And we don't even watch that much TV, and that's partially due to the fact that we have young kids, but it's also just we watch a small handful of programs, and if I could have those just readily available on demand, and for me, as regular listeners to our show will know, football is a big deal, and that's still a little bit tough on streaming. But in any event, to come full circle, I think these companies are seeing the writing on the wall and trying to get themselves in position. I know DirecTV just launched DirecTV Now, which is a streaming service that they're doing that just came out. I think I saw a story that's going to jump up in price already, which I didn't dive into the story. I thought that was weird because it just came out, but it was $35 a month, and now I think it's going to $60, maybe. Who knows? Maybe that was an introductory rate or something like that. I'll have to dig back into that story and circle back on that. But this device to me looks like something Dish is doing just to get in a better position to stay relevant as things shift. It's called the Air TV Player. We should mention. I don't think we mentioned that. Available beginning today, so immediately for $129. Bundled OTA over-the-air adapter is $99. It looks like, so $129 with the bundled over-the-air adapter, or $99 just for the streaming. And then it says Sling TV subscribers receive a $50 credit. So, anyways, interesting little box, and I think it'll be interesting to watch. There's a lot of competition in that set-top box market these days, and so we'll see if Dish can make a run at it.
Yep, I just looked it up. DirecTV Now going from $35 to $60. It's the end of their promotion. It ended January. Well, it ends on January 9th, so I guess you have until Monday.
Doesn't feel like a very long promotion. Like I feel like that service just came out, so maybe it was a 30-day thing or something.
Well, it's how they get the headlines, I guess, and it's how they get you to sign up, and then you find out your introductory rate is
I know from experience.
Yes.
What is Jason paying for DirecTV? That's the trivia question.
I'm so glad that we cut our cable. Just as an anecdote, tonight we sat down to watch a movie. It was the Imitation Game about the Alan Turing, and I think it's an hour and a half movie, hour and 45 minutes. Took 4 hours.
I was going to ask. I don't remember the last time we got through a movie here, man. It's tough. It gets tougher.
Yeah, I know. I can definitely see that happening. So, I'm glad we cut the cord now. It was kind of rough there for a couple of months, but it's definitely been worth it for the last couple of weeks here.
Well, speaking of Dish, looks like they are going to be the first TV service to work directly with the Amazon Echo. And so a direct integration where that Amazon Echo can control the Dish box. And again, this to me feels like one of those stories. I just keep seeing Dish consistently pop up with innovation. They seem to be really getting after it and trying to make sure their products stay competitive from a technical standpoint. And I think this is another great example of that. And of course, voice control, which everybody expects rightfully to be a huge story coming out of CES, even though Amazon won't be there and Google won't be there. We know that voice control is going to be a huge story to come out of CES, and I think this again is another illustration of that.
You may have to switch over to Dish. Some of the examples they list here are go to ESPN, show me football games.
Speaking my language, I like it.
They're marketing directly to you. So interesting. The Hopper already had a voice controlled remote, I think.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So this is kind of a little add-on for it, and it's a good thing to see them, branching out. One of my worries about voice control was that there were all going to be these little kingdoms where everybody's set up, but it's a good thing when everybody integrates together and it at least gives you a couple of options, as long as Alexa understands you, and more specifically understands your kids.
That's important.
Should I go ahead and play this video here?
Let's do it.
All right,
let it roll.
Play Ticker Ticker. Alexa, play Ticker Ticker.
Bobby, can you talk to play Wheels?
You want to hear a station for porn detected, porno ringtone, hot chick, amateur girl, calling sexy.
No.
Porno ringtone,
Alexa, stop!
Oh man. So I think this is going to be the first show where I have to bleep Alexa out, but things got that escalated quickly.
that really did. Oh my Lord, I lost it when I first saw that. You shared that with me. I don't know what Alexa thought that kid was saying, but I just as a parent of a 2-year-old here, we don't own an Echo yet, but I think we probably will soon. And man, my daughter's a little chatterbox these days. She has so many words and phrases now, and she's learning new ones every day. And you just wonder what that Echo was thinking. But oh man, the dad's voice there at the very end when he's just laughing, you could just hear he's gonna remember that forever. And that video has on YouTube, as we sit here and record, just under 8 million views, 7.9 million. So clearly that's gone pretty viral. A lot of people getting a kick out of that.
Yeah, I got to thank our Slack channel over there from our patrons over at the Hub. Somebody in there posted it earlier towards the end of last week, I guess. And I thought it was hilarious. And yeah, I don't I don't know what else to say. Just, what are you going to do?
Not much you can. That was hilarious. Anyways, speaking of voice control in general, of course, like I said, going to be a big story out of CES this year. I think everybody knows that. We're all expecting that. And to that end, I did see a story here that I thought was interesting, Seth, over on GeekWire. And that is that CES chief economist is stating that more than 700 Amazon Alexa applications may launch at CES this year. So that's 700 Alexa applications launching at CES, and that I believe is in addition to about 1,500 that they currently have. So a huge, percentage-wise, a very substantial number of new applications. And I think this goes back to that ongoing conversation that we've been having about Google Home versus Echo, and where is that all going to end up here in the next 12 months? What are we going to see on that front? And I do think you've made some very valid points and some interesting points about where is Alexa going to go, and are they really prepared to deal with competition from a product like Google Home? But I do think that the thing that Echo does have going for them is the head start that they've got, and to have these 1,500 applications out there, another 700 as a result, presumably, of a lot of the groundwork and the encouragement that they've given to the development community is pretty powerful and compelling. And so I thought that this was an interesting story.
What I think is interesting this year is that this is the second year in a row that Amazon is going to be taking all the headlines for the voice control stuff. I mean, Google Home exists. There are a couple of other products out there. Apple still hasn't shown up with any type of on-the-shelf type product, but it definitely has Siri integrated with HomeKit and a couple of other services. But nowhere near as open and developer friendly as Amazon. So, I wonder next year what the Google Home / Amazon Alexa integration who will be winning then, because this is a decent amount of apps for Amazon to have, but it's not that many.
No, you're right.
So,
Yeah.
But 700 launching over the next 4 days is very impressive, and I think clearly they're still the leader, and it's their game to lose, right? Like they're on top of the hill, and it's somebody else can come and push them down, but they can also stay there and be king of the hill.
Yeah, and I think one of the other notable things that I saw in this story is a mention of Lenovo, for example, debuting their own voice-activated speaker. I guess it's called the Smart Assistant, which runs on Alexa. So you've also got that dynamic now going on with third-party hardware makers integrating Alexa right into their hardware. And so not a completely novel concept, but I think we'll probably see more of that. I've already seen one or two other stories that we've bookmarked for potential conversation on next week's episode that tie into that theme as well. And so it's a fascinating landscape. I think voice control is clearly arguably one of the primary interfaces of the smart home in the very near future, and I think that it's getting a lot of attention. I know I just, in fact, anecdotally had a client who were getting ready to do the finish on their system call me just the other day and say, hey, I wanted to find out how we can get Echo working on the system out of the blue. So that was not a conversation that I prompted. It was something that he called and asked me about, and I think that just speaks to the market awareness. Like we talked about last week, all the advertising that we're seeing being poured into this, I think it really is going to raise the bar, and has a lot of people very excited about it. So I think it is really fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it's very easy to understand. I yell at this little can over there that's sitting on the kitchen counter, and things happen. So there's not any like remote manuals I'm thinking of, or complicated touchscreen interfaces to kind of go through and walk through. No, you could just say turn up the volume or do this or turn on the lights in the kitchen, and it gets done. And
right.
That's that makes it easy, and easy is better.
There's power there, no doubt. Very good, Seth. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. Like we said, we've got I think what'll be a really fun show next week, so we definitely encourage people to tune in. Once again, we're going to have Ram Malasani on from Securify to do a brief interview about their new security features, so be sure to tune in for that. And, of course, we'll be keeping a close eye on CES this year and taking notes of some stories that we can sit down and talk about what were some of the big stories to come out of it. If you see anything during CES and you want to reach out and let us know what you thought were the biggest stories, or, I do want to put this call out specifically to our listeners. If you see anything that's just kind of silly or funny, you feel like emblematic of that sort of side of CES, which can be a little bit goofy, we'd love to hear those as well. So a couple of different ways that you can reach out and contact us. One would be HomeTech.fm/support. There's a really quick contact form on there that you can fill out. And the other one would be, of course, over on Twitter at HomeTech Podcast. So we'd encourage everybody to reach out. We do read all of those emails and tweets, and we really appreciate it.
I think that's HomeTech.fm/feedback is where the form is.
I'm sorry.
But, yep. No worries.
Support.
And support
There's
is
your
something
segue,
else we should
Seth.
talk about. Yeah. So you can also go over, if you want to support the show or see how you can support the show, you can go over to HomeTech.fm/support. There's a couple of different ways. We of course have our patrons. We're very thankful for the people who have decided to donate from $1 on up.
Yeah, absolutely. We really do appreciate it. So like I said, be sure to tune in next week. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Seth, appreciate you sitting down here. We'll let you get back to your family, and I look forward to reconnecting with you again very soon.
All right. Sounds good, Jason. I'll talk to you next week.
All right, man. Take care.